Can you remind me what is your first task when you're building this ambulance shed?
We were here last week preparing the ground, so next we need to mark out the bases and the footings and excavate them.
And that's why you have all the pegs, right? To put in the corner pegs, then the offset pegs you told me about, then the profile boards, then the nails on the boards. How long did you say all that takes you?
On a simple rectangular building like this, it would take around 6 hours.
With 3 people, right?
Right.
And once the profile boards and nails are in place, how long would it take you to lay out the bases and footings for this building?
To attach string lines and recheck the dimensions, just in case the boards had been knocked, then spray lines under the strings. That would take us around an hour.
So if we could do this without the pegs, profile boards and nails, that would save 3 people almost a full day's time?
Yeah, but I thought we were going to use your tool to position the pegs and nails. Then I can use string lines to quickly lay out each stage of the construction.
That would still give you a time saving, but the most efficient method would be to lay out without the pegs, nails and string. Tell me, Franco, after you have excavated the bases and footings and poured the concrete, what is the next stage of the layout?
To position the anchor bolts in the bases while the concrete is still wet.
For that your layout needs to be as accurate as possible, right? How do you make sure the anchor bolts are directly below the string lines?
We use a spirit level.
So let's say that takes you another hour or so with 2 people. I really think you would beat that time with the iCON tool, especially after you have had a bit of practice with it. And you don't need to worry about your pegs being knocked or your string lines getting snagged out of line, and of course you don't need to spend time banging in all those pegs into hard stony ground.
Go on then, show me how you would do it.
Okay, Franco, let's use your sketch to plan how we are going to do this. Using your current method, everything relates to the position of the boundary wall. When we use iCON, we will also position everything relative to the boundary wall. There are 3 steps in the process. The first step is to draw the shape of the building relative to the boundary wall using the dimensions that you've been given. Step 2 is to set up the total station and make 2 measurements to the wall so that it can work out where it is on site. Then in step 3 we will be navigated along the lines that we create in step 1 as we spray the lines on the ground for the footings and bases. On the iCON home screen you can see the list of apps along the top. In step 1 we will use the sketching app to sketch the ambulance shed. Then we will use the layout lines app to get the total station set up and to guide us along the lines as we spray the ground. We will start in the data panel by creating a new project for the first ambulance shed. To create a new project we tap the green plus. Then we tap in the name box and enter a name for the new project. There are more project settings we could look at, but they're not relevant here, so we will leave them alone. The green tick saves the new project. Now we are ready to start step 1, so we go into sketching to create the shape of the first ambulance shed. We will start by creating a line across the top to represent the boundary wall. So in iCON, we will make our first line go to the left. We want to go 10 meters along the boundary wall. Tapping the green tick creates the second point on the wall. The first corner of the ambulance shed is 5 meters from the boundary wall, so we choose the down direction and enter 5 meters. Again, the green tick creates the point. We can zoom out using this button at the bottom of the screen. And we can pan the map simply by dragging it. The second corner of the ambulance shed is another 20 meters away from the boundary wall, so we don't need to change the angle. We simply enter 20 meters and create the point. To zoom to the extents of the map, we can hold down the zoom out button. The next point is to the left. At 15 meters. And the fourth point is back up the screen. At 20 meters. Then to close the rectangle, we could enter the correct angle and distance, or we could use the toolbox here. The toolbox is available in every app and the tools in it relate to the app that you're in. Connect points is the option we want here. When we connect point 6 to point 3, the distance is calculated for us. We already knew that the dimension is 15 meters, but on a more complicated building shape, this would give us a nice check that we have entered every dimension correctly. We have now finished sketching the ambulance shed, so we will tap home to return to the home screen.